Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the second of our Autumn 2021 webinar series. We'll be today shining a light on the opportunity at Adobe is obviously for students and graduates. And we expect this session to last about an hour with a mix of Q&A and a panel discussion. So keep an eye out for the post and, you know, we'd obviously love to hear from you. I'll introduce myself. My name is Malak. I'm a university talent partner here at Adobe, and I'll be facilitating this session. Today's session is actually being recorded, so it will be shared on the blog, so you can catch up on the details a bit later if you miss anything. And to make the session as interactive as possible, please do use the tools to speak with each other and the panelists, and you can use the Q&A tool to ask your questions and keep general comments with the chat box. So take a moment to warm up and please introduce yourself. So let us know who you are, what university you're from and what you're studying, what you're interested in, and make sure your message is being sent to all panelists and attendees by selecting this option from the drop down in the chat box tool. And while we're getting to know each other, let me quickly introduce and quickly run through the agenda and introduce our panelists today. So we will be having Christina, who's the Diversity and Inclusion Program Lead, and who will tell you a bit more also about the Adobe for All and what this initiative means, as well as how interns and how grads at Adobe can be involved. We'll also be joined by Jordan, who's the Business Development Lead at Adobe, by Diana, who's the Director of Engineering based in Romania, and by Sophie, who's the Acquisition Media Manager in the UK. And they will share their own experiences of being involved in Adobe for All and how Adobe supports their initiatives. So finally, a huge thank you for joining us this afternoon. And as I mentioned, this is the second event of our Autumn 2021 series, so your feedback is really important to us. And so, yeah, just keep an eye open in the chat box for any survey at the end of the panel. We'd really appreciate it if you could fill this out when we're finished. And that's it for me. I'll hand over to the speakers who will introduce themselves and maybe start with Christina. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
I am.
Hello. Yeah, great. I would actually love for you to actually start with introducing yourself and letting us know more about you, who you are, and what defines you as a person.
Thank you, Malak, and hello everyone to our attendees, and thank you for making the time this afternoon to meet us, some of the employees at Adobe. Who are you? Well, that's probably a question that I don't even know for myself, but I really like your question about what defines you. And I think a lot of the times we're sharing our name and our title, but we are more than that. So I think if I think about it, I'm a mother. Is it a divorcee, the term, or an ex-wife for someone? I'm a daughter. I'm an employee. I'm a Romanian living in the UK, which probably means I'm an immigrant, the word. I'm a friend, and I'm also, pretty passionate person when it comes to inclusion and when it comes to people bringing their best self to work. So that's me, Malak, in a few words.
That's great. Thank you. Next we have on the panel is Jordan. Would you like to start with introducing yourself?
Yeah, sorry, when I find my mute button. Good afternoon all. Hi, I'm Jordan. I have multiple roles in Adobe, I suppose, but I'll start off with my core role. I head up the business development unit, which is kind of our sales and marketing function within EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. On top of that, I support the Intern and Grad program, just offering insights where I can. And I also chair our Black Employee Network, which is part of the Adobe for All framework. What defines me? Good question. I mean, it depends who you're asking. Which Jordan? Are you talking about personal Jordan or professional Jordan? Personal Jordan, what defines me is probably being able to down a pint in 4 seconds, but we won't talk about that. What really defines me as an individual, I would say that I would consider myself a leader, definitely an advocate. I always believe in standing up for what's right and being the voice of others. And above and beyond that, well, what else can I say? I'm a problem solver. But in reality, I'm just a millennial with a corporate card. So that will be myself.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Jordan. Yeah. We also have Diana, if you wouldn't mind putting the camera on and introducing yourself.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Very well.
Thank you for joining our event. It's a pleasure to engage with you and to share a little bit of our stories. I'm Diana, and I'm leading Adobe Target Engineering in Bucharest. I joined Adobe 4 years ago, and I've been in this tech area for a long time. I would say more than 15 years. What defines me? This is an interesting question because there are lots of things that define me, but over the past few years, I've been highly involved in many diversity and inclusion activities in our site. And one of the things that motivates me highly is to support diversity and to support especially women in our site. And going beyond that, I became, in my way, an advocate for girls in technology. I have a daughter, a teenage daughter, and I try to inspire and to advocate for as many girls as possible in technology, and at work for supporting women in growing in their careers in the engineering field.
Thank you so much. That is great. And finally, we have Sophie with us today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sophie. I have been at Adobe about 5 years now. And my day-to-day role is an acquisition media manager. So it's my responsibility to look after all the digital marketing for our creative cloud products. So that will be everything from Google, Facebook, any of these sort of digital marketing channels. On top of that, I look after the Pride at Adobe, which is our LGBTQ plus employee network. I look after that for the UK, and I'm also the MEA lead.
Amazing, thank you. And actually, yeah, you have been speaking about the Adobe networks, which are basically part of our Adobe for All policy and Adobe for All practices. So just in your own words, how would you describe the Adobe for All that we have, and what does it mean to you?
So Adobe for All, in my opinion and my perspective, sounds is exactly what it sounds like. It's Adobe for all employees, for all interns, for all our stakeholders and collaborators. So it's an environment where everyone feels included, where everyone feels respected. It's an environment where diversity is celebrated and created every day. And I feel really proud to be part of such a company where the interest and preoccupation for diversity and for inclusion is so genuine, because I can see that every day, and I am more than happy to be able to support and to contribute for creating an inclusive environment. and to having support from our leadership for all those diversity and inclusion activities that we have the opportunity to drive.
If I go next, Diana, to probably say +1 to everything that you said, and I look at Adobe for All also from the external angle. You know, Adobe should be for you, the people attending, like, you know, for university students and graduates. It should be for experienced hires. It should be, you know, we just talked a bit about ourselves. We're having different backgrounds, coming from different lines of business. We look and think differently. So I usually look at Adobe for All almost from a sense of for all customers, for all employees, but also for all candidates and people that want to join Adobe. So it's not a company for few, only the lucky ones, but it's actually for everyone. And again, our products should serve everyone and should be accessible, or should penetrate in different businesses and cultures, and just people to recognize themselves in what we're doing. So that's for me, Adobe for All.
Yeah, I think like Christina, like you said there, I think that the important thing is about the importance of support and visibility in both internally and externally. So I know with a lot of the work that we all do, you know, it can range anywhere from working internally with the talent team. It can be internally for our employees. So we might do sort of 101 trainings or workshops or talks like that. But then it's also about the support and visibility externally as well. So the community. So from my side, being a pride at Adobe, it would be the LGBTQ+ community. For Jordan, it would be the black community. You know, so it's about making sure that we're supporting both internally and externally, and using what privileges we have to support everyone across the board and make sure that we're very visible in doing that.
Yeah, I shouldn't have gone last. Everyone gave great answers. I'm just realizing. No, I mean, for me, Adobe for All is all about diversity, inclusion, and equality. So naturally, it's at the very core of what Adobe is and what we do. It's our ethos, it's our credo. You know, when you look at our brand, our strengths lends itself to diversity, inclusion. We have such a great diverse leadership that have always steered us in the right direction. The reason why we're always voted one of the top places to work. You know, we flourish in diverse markets. When we look at our customers, we don't have a set profile of customers or people that we work with. It's great because we get that diverse influence. And we offer a diverse portfolio. So I think that Adobe for All represents what Adobe truly is about, and it's at the core of what we do. Of course, I can't forget we have an amazing array of diverse talent that are the driving force. So when you look at what we do, it's truly all Adobe for All for me.
So it's really as much on the business side really as it is internally, and how people feel. I'm just curious, Sophie, because you did mention the influence that we can have internally and externally as well. Would you mind developing a bit more about this?
The influence that Adobe for All has. I mean,
yeah, or Adobe, or the influence that Adobe has internally and externally within this Adobe for All vision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, externally, let's be real, we're setting the standard in our market. You know, I think what we do is pioneering. We are showing that diversity equates to success, and I think others are following along. They're starting to work out, why is Adobe doing better than everyone else? It's because of us. So I think our influence is affecting the wider market, which is beneficial. But that's what I would say. I mean, I get the privilege of, in my role, working as a Black Employee Network, working with so many different agencies, so many different companies that are always interested about what's Adobe doing? What's Adobe doing? What they do, what they say, because we have a strong core, a strong ethos. And I think that, as I said, at the heart of that is Adobe for All. So we influence the market in many different ways. Our products, you know, when we look at what our products create, we create such amazing, I mean, Photoshop, all these skill sets. Of course, we're just providing the platform, but there's actually creators out there that are doing all this masterpiece. But we're able to enable, you know, especially in Black History Month, for me as an example, our tools are enabling people to create such powerful pieces of art that resonate such great messages. So we enable people in many different ways from an Adobe point of view.
Okay, thank you. That is great to hear. Sophie, I saw that you were about to unmute yourself and say something.
Do it. Join the party.
No, I think, yeah, like Jordan said, I think we're such a, you know, a well-renowned big tech giant that we are. We have to take that responsibility seriously. You know, like we are visible, whether we like that or not. You know, and I think that it's really important we take that seriously, and like Jordan said, lead the way at that point. You know, make sure that we're leading the way in this.
Okay, yeah, perfect. And
Malak,
yeah, sorry.
if I may add an idea here, and this comes from the Romanian perspective, I would say Adobe is a role model on the market, and Adobe helps creating new perspectives and changing the old ways of seeing diversity. It empowers women, for example, to make their voices heard. So with our activities and our interest for diversity and inclusion, we are changing the local market, definitely.
So we do have this brand image, basically, of what we are saying we're doing. So it's not just words, really, but it shows even externally, which is great.
Yes.
And I was also just wondering, how do you, as individuals, but also as Adobe employees, how do you contribute to creating this, you know, this inclusive environment?
Oh, I suppose I'll kick that one off. I mean, to be honest with you, helping being the chair of a Black Employee Network, one of the best networks in Adobe, for all I am biased, yes, helps. You know, you can create, you know, the environment through governance and through influencing the rest of the business. But for me personally, I like to lead by example. I show up to work, I'm myself, my true self. I think one of the things that being inclusive is eradicating imposter syndrome, you know, having the feeling that you have to be something different to fit in. I myself, I am, as most people know, I am crazy as they come, but I'm accepted for what I am, and I still benefit the business, and you know, I love being here. And I think as a leader, I have the ability to create the look and feel of what inclusive looks like. You know, I have the ability, I have the control, I hire, I create the right environments. I was just talking that, you know, before the call, that we have an environment that we work hard, we respect each other, and then we play hard, we work together. I'm still going back to the statement of I'm a millennial with a corporate card. I think that's inherent in our age. I've got to be open with you. I think inclusivity, diversity, inclusion is something that if we have the right profiles in the business, it's inherent and it comes naturally.
And do you, sorry, I thought I was on mute actually. How do you feel respected and included? Are there any things that, you know, makes you really feel respected as an employee and as a person? Or is it just like the general environment?
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things for me is I've been awarded a platform. I've truly been awarded by a platform from Adobe. I'm going to be totally transparent. There's a lot of companies that would censor the conversations, censor conversations around the quality. I've openly said things about Adobe that I think I don't agree with, and they've taken it on board, and you know, we've actually addressed these things. And so I think that's how I feel respected and included. We're heard, you know, there's always a response to something, and we're always treated fairly within Adobe.
Okay.
So I'll continue, and I'll start with this question about feeling respected and included. Yes, I definitely feel respected and included every day, And I consider this a duty for me to propagate this feeling of inclusion and respect in the organization I lead. And besides feeling included and respected, I feel supported every day, which is very important. And I'm trying also to give all my support to all the people I'm working with. As for creating an inclusive environment, from my perspective, there are two ways I can influence this. One is from my role as of co-lead for diversity and inclusion for Adobe Bucharest. And from this perspective, we are continuously paying attention and listening to all our colleagues and trying to create programs that foster inclusion. The other perspective is, or the other role that I have where I contribute to creating an inclusive environment is the one of leader for the engineering organization that I'm managing in Bucharest. And here, again, one thing that I'm continuously paying attention to is to listen and to listen to my colleagues in the target organization, and to make sure that inclusion is our default approach when it comes to collaborating with each other.
Yeah, I think I'll go next. So I think that in terms of being sort of feeling respected and included, I definitely feel the most respected and included at Adobe that I've ever felt in any company that I've ever worked for. Hence why, you know, like Jordan said, I'm able to take this platform and feel comfortable in this visible position that we take up. So I've had companies. I've worked at companies where I haven't felt respected and haven't felt included, and I've had bad experiences on the other side as well, right? Which has led me to, you know, to leave the company and not work there. So I've had companies where I didn't know if I could come out, or I came out a year after working there because I just didn't know, either wasn't sure or you know, didn't feel comfortable coming out. And it's taking this platform, I didn't want anyone else to feel like that again. You know, I didn't want people to have to feel like that. You know, I knew what it was like for me. So I wanted to, you know, at Adobe, I didn't want that to be the case. From day one, I felt comfortable being out at Adobe, and I wanted everyone to feel the same as me. I wanted everyone to feel, if they wanted to be out, if they, you know, felt comfortable, that there was an open, you know, dialogue and an open conversation here, and that it was, you know, okay for them to come out if that's what they, you know, felt comfortable. So, and then I think in terms of creating an inclusive environment, I think that's, you know, that's exactly what we're trying to do here, right? That's why, you know, like I say, that's why I took up the position that I've taken, and using that to create an inclusive environment. So like I mentioned before, working with the talent teams to make sure there's no sort of bias and things in job specs, making sure that we're, you know, visible on certain job boards, making sure that we have gender neutral toilets in our offices and stuff. So we were able to make those changes. Like Jordan said, the leadership give us the space and the opportunity to make those changes to make this company a more inclusive environment.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for sharing, and you know, public thank yous to you, Diana, Jordan, everything that you do with the networks. And from my perspective on how do I contribute, I think they're like coming from two ends. So one is through my role, making sure that I'm, you know, bringing policies and programs that are being run corporate in our region, make sure that our employees can benefit from mentoring programs or different activities, as well as supporting our employee networks, making sure that the leadership are aware of, you know, either the struggles or the successes. And because I think a lot of times it's bringing in front of our leaders and our business the realities of our underrepresented groups and what they would need to be successful and what are some of their top priorities or changes that they want to see. But equally also for me as an individual, every time there's an opportunity for me to learn, I will grab that with both hands. And we recently had something that we called Adobe for All in Action Circles, which there were meetings in a restricted format where you would learn on how to become a better ally. And where the first thing is, allyship is a verb, so it's an action. And I think I'm contributing, creating an inclusive environment by recognizing that there's always things that you need to learn. Now, to your second part of how do I feel respected and included, I would probably say +1 to what the team was sharing before, that who I am, it's accepted, that my uniqueness is being valued and celebrated. Now, I would be honest and say that there would be moments when maybe I don't feel respected and included. But what I also know is that if people do this, it's because they have this, what we call unconscious bias. But then Adobe is, I think it's an environment where, to Jordan's point, you can actually share when that's the case. You can actually share, like with my manager, I could say when maybe I'm struggling, or I could voice my concern. And a lot of times, the beauty of it is that you realize people had no idea. People had no idea that you felt excluded. People had no idea that you didn't feel as respected. And I think that's how I feel respected, by whenever this is not the case, and if I voice my concern, then this is being responded with, genuine apologies or genuine sharing of not knowing, which I think it's great.
And do you feel, sorry, just actually bouncing on that one, Christina, do you feel that once you've actually spoken up what you were thinking or how you were feeling about a matter or another, do you usually feel that the person in front of you takes actions to reverse the situation and to make you feel?
Yeah, what I've learned since joining in this role is that people have good intentions. No one wakes up in the morning thinking, how do I exclude Malak today?
I'm going to make their life hell. Yeah.
Yes. So people have good intentions, but we are people. We're wired to do mistakes. They say if you have a brain, you have a bias. We're wired to like people that think like us, that look like us. And to Sophie's point, that's why we need people to speak up and say, actually, by doing this, you're most likely to exclude LGBTQ+ community because they don't react well to this sort of advertisement or this sort of language or this sort of approach. But if the talent team does that, they don't do it intentionally. Okay, how do I post a job post and exclude LGBTQ+ community? So that's why I feel it's a responsibility on both us expressing our concerns and start from a place of almost like give the other person the benefit of the doubt. And you'll be surprised how many times people will just say sorry, almost like with a friend. It's hard to tell them something. Once they do, it's great. But I think that the trick here is the longer you wait to speak up, the more emotion you will add into that, and the more likely is for the other person to become probably defensive, because probably your message may sound a bit accusatory or very, very almost diluted. So I think that's why, speak up. We even have, for the people attending, maybe Lauren or Sonalda can post in the chat. If not, I will do it afterwards. We have a diversity website, and then there, open source, we have what we call Adobe for All in Action, because we realize that it's great to have a mission, it's great to have a strategy, but people just need tangible actions or almost questions or things for them to reflect on. And one of the action is called opening up. And it's exactly this, give feedback, speak up your mind, make sure you're being open. And it's just give people some questions for them to reflect on, either as an employee or as a manager, on how do we create an environment where you're not afraid of retaliation to actually speak up your mind, and you do it respectfully and you do it in timely manner. but it's important that we all speak up, because otherwise we're perpetuating something that the other person has most likely no idea about.
Okay, so mainly creating a safe space for everyone really is the core mission of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right, and obviously you all represent a network or work in a certain on a certain side, representing the Adobe for All vision, I'd say. I'm really wondering, how do you all work together? Do you all work in your separate way, or do you come all together and work on the same, with the same goal, with the same focus? Really wondering in terms of, how do you pair up your different events or different networks?
Yeah, I think we all, Adobe for All is the umbrella term that all of our networks sit under, right? All of our D&I, or everything we do under D&I. So like I say, you have the Pride at Adobe, you have the Black Employee Network, you have the Women's Network. We've got lots and lots of different networks. So we all work under the one vision and the one mission of Adobe for All. But we all have our own communities to support, right? So the LGBTQ plus community for me. So my main my main aim is to support that community, but we also recognize that there's intersectionality between all of our networks. So you can be Black and gay, you can be, so it's really important for us to make sure that we cross missions and what we're doing here. So we'll have sessions that will be just specifically, or we say for LGBTQ plus History Month, that's a real focus for us, right? So as a Pride at Adobe, so we'll really knuckle down on that month, or Pride Month, or Trans Awareness Week, or these really sort of key moments throughout the calendar. We'll really knuckle down into our community on those. But I would say outside of that, we interact a lot more. So we will do, so I think last year Jordan and I did a joint session together. We had Monroe Bergdorf come and do a talk for employees. So she is a Black trans activist. So again, crossing over at that point. So it's really important for us to make sure that we don't make sure that we're really focusing down on our calendars in each of our calendars, and making sure that our communities are heard at times throughout the year where it's important. But outside of that, Adobe for All is the main sort of mantra that we all live by, and make sure that we're syncing up on who's doing what when. Is there any option for overlap here that we could do something joint together?
Yeah, I mean, in the true nature of the question, I think Sophie's answered it for me, and that shows how much we work together. She's taken the answer on my behalf. But just to reinforce that, I truly think we're so collaborative, and I say this, working in other functions in the business, being at other companies. What I see in Adobe for All is true collaboration. I see we working for each other just as much as we work for our own networks. We succeed as a team, and we celebrate as a family. Our strength is unity, but it doesn't mean that we don't have our own focuses. Actually, what I've learned being part of Adobe for All is collaboration isn't all about working together, huddling up, doing the same things. It's sometimes driving success in your own channel, and trusting and knowing that the other person next to you is going to make the equal, progression and success, so you all grow together. There's nothing wrong with having a focus if you know that, right, if I focus on, for example, the Black channel, I know Sophie is going to absolutely dominate in, the LGBTQ, and I know that everyone else is going to drive their networks. That's great collaboration. We all have our focuses, we all have our strengths, and we collaborate by driving our own success. And I think it's great to see. It really is inspiring, and it's things like this that I take into my day-to-day with my own team, with my own core business. So it's wonderful to experience.
I think what I would add to what Jordan and Sophie were mentioning is exactly shows the beauty of us as individuals. We're not only we're not only gender, or we're not only age, or we're not only sexual orientation. And I think even the finesse or the beauty of it is, I think probably the audience might be familiar, right, with the iceberg, like there are things that we see on the surface, but actually there's so much that is around our religion, our cultural norms, our upbringing, our personality, being an introvert or an extrovert, our beliefs. And I think that's the beauty of it, of how do we bring this all together, so people don't feel like put in a box and that's only that, but we actually celebrate and acknowledge this. And I think from my perspective as the program lead, one thing that I did as I joined the role was, having quarterly calls with the networks, having distribution lists or spaces for us to share and collaborate. So we're amplifying a message, and it's not like, oh, it's an event that Jordan is driving, I'm not touching it because it's not my area, right? But it's like, I want my members and I want my allies to know about everything that goes on, because at the end of the day, whatever a network drives, people will learn from or will be impacted, because if it's not them directly, it might be their parents, it might be their friends, it might be their partners. So we're so wired, and I will use a strong word, but it would be ignorant of us to think that's not something for me to look at. So that's what I would say.
So my answer to this, how do we all work together? I would say like a big successful team. We all have the same objectives. We are driving in the same direction, and we learn from each other and support each other. Going into more concrete, in Bucharest, we have 3 networks, and we collaborate very well together. We meet regularly every 3 or 4 weeks, and we discuss the progress on our objectives, the initiatives, the events, if there are any where we can support each other, and maybe brainstorm for other initiatives that are relevant for any of the networks. And all this collaboration, I would say, is highly appreciated and translate into great results, because we have a big team of volunteers for all these networks that enjoy driving projects and coming with ideas. And the fact that people are willing to volunteer to create change, to create an inclusive environment, that tells me a lot about the way of working and the environment that we are creating.
And so the success of one network or one team will go into someone else's success. So I think it's great how we work together. We've asked the question to the attendees in terms of how important D&I would be for them while applying to an internship or graduate program, and it's not really surprising that 75% of the responses is actually the top priority. So I think it's really great to see this, this topic and diversity really, and inclusion being in front of or being one of the people's priorities today, because I think it wasn't a few years ago. So I think this change is really good, and I'm actually curious now into if we kind of change the situation. When you think of interns and of graduates, what do you usually look for in a candidate who applies to Adobe? And so what do you expect them to have when applying, and what do you think they can expect from Adobe or from yourselves?
I can kick off this question, and actually it made me laugh because I have experience on both ends. I was a manager, and I hire interns as well as new college grads. And then I was also a new college grad 13 years ago when I joined Adobe. So I feel like I can give the perspective from both ends. But hopefully for people listening now, and again, this is my perspective, right? I'm curious to hear about my colleagues. But what you look in a candidate, it's exactly what you see us talking about. We look for drive and passion. We look for people who like to challenge the status quo, who want to get involved in initiatives outside of their curriculum, who, if they have a passion, they go about it. Either that they connect with an NGO and they start learn about that community or about that product. I think in these days, you all have two options. We can all say, oh, this is not working for me, or I don't know, or we can go and find the answer. We're millennials, and I think I think our parents would be jealous to have all the resources that we have, right? There's, for example, just think of Coursera, if you've heard of it as a platform. It's like prestigious universities, and any subject you're interested about, you can go and learn. So I would expect this from interns and fresh grads, like that drive to showcase their willingness to. I think Jordan said, play hard, be committed, work hard, be committed, but also play hard. Like, one of my managers, and I love this quote, he said to me, take your work seriously, but not yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're not saving lives. So I'm not saving lives. Hopefully I make some of lives better, but I think it's important to take your job seriously, and sometimes not so much yourself, because you can go into the victim, I think, trap quite easily if you do that. And then good enough is not good enough. We used to say, I was in a recruitment team at one point, and our leader would say, good enough is not good enough. So don't settle for, oh, that's good enough as well. Sometimes you have to, but for what is truly important for you, just go for it. Now, what can an intern expect from Adobe, or a fresh grad? I think what you can expect is you will work. And hopefully this is good news and you not get scared of, but you'll work on important projects. The interns that I hired in my team, they actually said to me that their peers working for other companies were jealous of their work, because you're not just giving, okay, this is a project no one cares about, so you can work on it. We're not going to look at it, but you'll be part of team calls, you attend all hands, QBRs, you'll be able to put your footprint. In my team, when I was a manager and I had interns, I gave them almost the same type of responsibilities as the others. Obviously, the complexity will differ. And then we all had them come back, and they wanted to then join Adobe and become a fresh grad and continue. What you can expect is Christmas parties. Well, before COVID, a note: Christmas party, Halloween parties, Pride parades, Black Tech fests. Lots of goodies and swags and smart and kind people. So I loved my journey as a grad, and you would expect also career opportunities. I'm with Adobe 13 years now. I worked in 3 countries, have probably 7 or 8 different roles, a number of managers, business trips. I think to Jordan and Sophie's point, Adobe gives you the platform to grow, and it's up to you if you grab it or not. So I know it was a long-winded answer, but I'm so passionate about it. And I think that if you want to drive a career, and if you want to feel respected, included, and successful, this is the place for you, for sure. It was for me, at least.
I will continue and tell you a little bit about what we are looking for in a candidate. This summer in the organization that I'm leading, we had 3 interns. And when we talk about hiring at Adobe, one of the things that is always mentioned is the fact that we are hiring for attitude. So especially in the case of the interns, I highly appreciate an open attitude, an attitude which indicates me that the person, the future interns, wants to learn and to be part of an engineering team that is highly successful. So I'm looking for candidates that are willing to learn, that are willing to work hard, that are willing to have fun, that are open to new experiences. And I'm also looking for people that are bold and brave, because joining, especially if you are at the first internship, joining a team of professionals can be a little bit scary, especially in the engineering area, because you might be scared by their high level of knowledge and by the things that they are doing. But keep in mind that we get interns in order to mentor them and in order to help them grow. So I would say getting or observing this attitude of being fearless, it's a thing that counts a lot. Now, what can an intern expect from Adobe? There are lots and lots of things. And I would say here, first of all, support to learn, then exposure to great products, enterprise products, to real world problems, which is a great source for learning. Another thing that interns can expect is having fun and working with people who also have been interns at some point and who have been part of this journey and who still remember that. So definitely they will meet people that will speak the same language with them. And for example, in the organization that I'm leading, this year we had every intern had a mentor, and there was someone in my team who just took care of all the interns, making sure they are enjoying the journey, they are able to ask questions in a more informal environment, so that at the end of their internship, they live with knowledge, but also with a great experience. And maybe next year they will want to join us again, either as interns or maybe as full-time employees.
Oh, I suppose I'll take this next. That was a great answer. And I just got to build up on that. I mean, I got to be honest, I'm totally biased in favor of interns. I'd 100% go, yeah, you're young and hungry over experience. But that's just me. I'm just biased, and I get myself into a lot of fun conversations around that. But, you know, what am I looking for? Someone, as an intern, I really think the best profile to be is ambitious, energetic, and driven. You know, be someone who wants to shoot for the stars, someone's curious, someone inquisitive. But most importantly, I think be someone who's coachable. I think there's a great opportunity to come into Adobe and learn a lot. We are such a diverse business. We cover so many different things, and there's many opportunities to learn many different things. But in order to get that opportunity and to really make the most out of something, be coachable. For me, that's the most attractive skill set of someone, or trait of someone that they can have. To be open with you, your experience is irrelevant to me. In fact, it's probably at the bottom of the barrel of what I look for in someone. Your degree means nothing to you. I mean, to me, I've got to be open. I studied audio engineering. I wanted to be a DJ. So that's completely polar opposite to what I studied and what I'm doing now. So your degree is irrelevant. I just think if you have the right core skill sets and traits, as I mentioned above, any job is possible. There is no ceiling. If you are coachable and if you can be curious, inquisitive, and driven. It's to the extent, and I've been, you know, I think most people on this call 5 minutes before we joined, I was prodding to see how I can get more interns on my side. I'd love to grow it, you know, so is something that I'm really passionate about. So what to expect from me? Expect balance. Sounds weird to say, but I think that I have a good EQ, emotional intelligence, and I let that define how I treat relationships and manage. I think I'm a fair manager. I can be a friend, I can be a foe, I can be, someone who develop you, I can be someone to crack the whip. I'm balanced. It's just depending on what you need. But I think the best way is I love to gain relationships. I love to grow relationships. I want to invest in you professionally and personally. I want to know why you show up to work every day. I want to know why these things so I can motivate. And finally, from Adobe, I feel like this is the Oscar speech when the music's going to start going and the ceiling starts going down. But from Adobe, expect more than just a 9-to-5 office job. Like, we are a bunch of weird and wonderful people, and the culture fits that. It sounds weird, but Adobe do a phenomenal job of keeping people engaged into Adobe, not just in their job, but everything that Adobe does. The work-life balance is amazing. Adobe's investment to you as a person is insane. I love to brag with my friends, saying that I get, welfare funds, I get well-being funds, I get coaching. Adobe support you in so many different ways, physical, mental health. The stretch projects and opportunities, as I was saying before, you could take it as I'm going in to do, I don't know, sales analyst role, but there's so much more opportunities. The, employee networks, people start up, different networks. There's people who run football clubs and so many different things. So it's a great sandbox, to be honest, to develop yourself, not in more ways than just I'm doing a 9-to-5 job. So Adobe offers a lot.
Yeah, I think the advice that I always give to sort of interns and grads is the same. It's openness, willing to learn, be curious, and I mean that in every sense of it. I mean, whether we're talking about the day-to-day role that you take on, but also just in the people who are around you, in them, in personal aspects as well. So I think the more curious you are, ask as many questions as you can. I've been at Adobe nearly 5 years, and I learn something different. I learn something new every single day. Like, you just have to ask questions, and I would say challenge why things are done the way they're done. I would say, I know that's probably quite scary to try and do, like Diana said, if you're coming in with all these people with years of experience. But I mean, I think personally, what I've seen, people only appreciate that there is such a willingness to test and to learn here at Adobe. Things don't stay stagnant. So like Christina said, with multiple jobs over the years that she's been here, my job has never stayed the same year over year either, because everything is fast paced here. Everything changes. A test happens and then that's it. We change the way we do things based on performance. So and then I would say, what can you expect from Adobe? I think Jordan said, Adobe really looks after its employees very, very well. Again, I guess one piece of advice I would always give is get involved with the networks, get involved with Adobe for All. It's only going to benefit you. For me, I never would have spoken to Diana, Jordan, Christina, Malik. We wouldn't probably usually cross paths in our day-to-day roles that we do. You get to talk to people from all over the company and even all over the world that you wouldn't usually get to talk to. So I think it only benefits you personally, and getting you in front of the right people in the company and stuff, just to make more connections and ask more questions. So
I absolutely do agree. I mean, I work from France and you guys are either in Romania or in the UK. So obviously there was no way physically that we would cross paths, which I really actually do appreciate crossing paths with you guys. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, so I didn't have a chance to meet all of you before. Actually, very interesting. Thank you so much. We do have a few questions, and I think just I'll start with one that actually kind of crosses paths with what you just mentioned, Sophie, in terms of COVID and how would that change? How did that change the way in which Adobe's employees would work in the future, and how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Adobe for All, in specifically, everything's obviously had to move virtual. So everything we've done has kind of had to take a shift away from, Pride, Pride Parade being in person and things like that. We've had to rethink our strategy about how we engage both internally and externally. So we've had to do a lot of sort of virtual events, but also people are getting tired of virtual events now. People want to meet in person. So it's about thinking a little bit outside the box about how we can, keep engaged, keep making steps and making progress, but in the right ways that people want to engage with at the moment.
What I would add, Sophie, to your point, and thank you, Colleen, for asking the question. The answer is yes, a big yes. COVID definitely changed the way that we're operating, and the new way of working for us in Adobe, and as well as for a lot of companies, it's a hybrid approach. There will be virtual as well as in person. One thing that really COVID showed us is that we always need to think digital first, and how do we give employees the possibility to digest information on demand, their own time, but also equip managers to get prepared for this new reality, which is something that we haven't experienced before. So it was a lot of first timers for a lot of us. And then also, I think what was great is also how Adobe reacted to COVID, right? It was employee safety first. Everyone was working from home. We were much more strict than maybe some of the country guidelines, because we wanted the employees to work from home and be safe. And we had the privilege, as working in a tech company, to not have to be exposed. And then people had to come to be more innovative. And Jordan maybe knows more on how the new interact with customers, and how do you keep them engaged, and how do you continue, the business continuity. But I would say hybrid is definitely the answer here, a combination of virtual and in person.
Yeah, I've got to be careful how I say this, but I think the COVID period actually came with a lot of silver linings. I think we became a lot more productive as a business. We started realizing there's more efficient ways to work. Taking away a physical location doesn't mean productivity. In fact, we got better at what we do, because we had to adapt and improvise. And when we look at our solutions and portfolio, this is exactly what it's designed around. So I think it really was an eye-opener to us. The value of the office has changed as well. I openly, first time I've been in the office in 2 years, and actually the first time I've met the team I've been managing for a whole year. And we know each other like a house on fire, but I think the value of coming to the office, it's more social, it's more connecting, it's more collaborative, it's great. And it's taken away the kind of boring side of being in an office, let's be real. Sitting there, 9 o'clock, is it 12 o'clock yet? That's eradicated because there's an energy. And we've become more inclusive. I actually operate a European team. And when we were in an office, it's always very biased around the UK guys, and sometimes you can neglect other regions because they're not in front of you. Actually, being all remote, I truly realized, hold on, this isn't fair, this isn't equal. The UK guys are getting all the drinks, they're getting the the lavish Thursday nights, and no one else is. So instead, we just drove all the drinks to everyone else and got them delivered. But that was a resolution. But I think we're more inclusive now. So there's actually a lot of benefits that came out of it. Weirdly, that's why I said I have to put it carefully.
No, it was great. It was careful, but great, Jordan. Don't worry about it. I think we've come to the end of the hour. Really appreciated you guys jumping in on this panel with us. Thank you, Christina, Sophie, Jordan, and Diana for being here. It was great to listen to you, as always. I'm actually lucky it's not my first time listening to you guys, but I think for those whose actually first time it is, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. And again, don't forget to submit your feedback on the survey that Izzy just shared on the chat board. And thank you all for attending.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.